Hello, I'm Deborah Hills from Queen Mary's School of the Arts. Welcome to Get Spotted. This podcast series is part of our QM Elevate programme, designed to help you build confidence and develop the communication skills you need to succeed at university and in your future career. In each episode, we'll talk with students, alumni and academics from different disciplines and see how engaging with assignments can be a game changer, helping you refine your communication skills and stand out in the workplace. Let's get started. This episode is computer science.
I have to know how to communicate with people from different backgrounds, and I'm so grateful that I managed to do that before I started my career. Otherwise, I would have had those disagreements with people in actual work setting, which isn't great.
Right. Okay then, so this episode of Get Spotted is with computer science. And let's first of all meet the person in the room, which is Dev. Can you introduce yourself to me, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Dev and I'm a recent graduate from Queen Mary University of London in computer science and business with industrial experience. I'm currently founder of DevXAI, which is an AI SaaS platform.
Excellent, thank you. And we can see here that Aisha and Imane are not in the room with us. We're going to be cutting them in and putting them in. So let's meet Imane.
My name is Imane Abuelmaatti. I'm a final year student. Well, I just completed my final year in computer science with a year in industry.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Dr Aisha Abuelmaatti. I'm a senior lecturer in the School of Electronic Engineering and Computer Science, and I'm also a director of employability there.
Thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about the initiative, the computer science initiative that we're discussing today?
So the idea behind qTech was to get students to practice these essential skills that they will need when they go to industry. So the idea behind it was to get students to work into multidisciplinary teams and to work on a project supporting the local community. So we are addressing two issues here: the employability skills of our students, which are transferable, which are essential, that will stay with them, and also giving back to our community, which is also our responsibility as a student. So any local startup or any charity or any non-for-profit organization can come to us with a project brief for any support that they need in-house for which they don't have the technical skills. We can provide that to them. So that was the idea of qTech. Initially, it was an extracurricular opportunity for the students, but then when I started working on it, I found that actually it would be a brilliant way to integrate it into the curriculum as part of the final year project for students, because then they will, first of all, I mean, we know that our student cohort, they will take it more seriously if they know that it is integrated, and we know that anything that gets marked is taken, I wouldn't say seriously, but they would put more effort into it as well. So we ensure that the outcome is also going to be brilliant. So I integrated it into the curriculum. So some students experienced it as an extracurricular activity, and others experienced it as an in-curriculum activity. But this was the initial thing. Once, when I took my role as a director of employability, the first thing I looked at was our graduate attributes. And at that time, it was still, I mean, now they look amazing, but at that time, it was just a list on our website. And I thought this was not the best way to communicate it to our students. It would be better if it was in a framework that shows them exactly how this is mapped against our values as a university, and then how this maps against all the activities that are available to them when they during their time with us, and how that would help them build the foundation and the building blocks for their careers.
So let's hear all about it. Imane, tell us about the project you did and what went on. And
Yeah, so the project that we did was all about increasing financial literacy within the community. And
within the community here in Eastern Tower Hamlets, or?
Exactly, and within the university itself. So it's the university and the surrounding community. As you might know, it's a bit of a disadvantaged area. So it's really, we focused on, especially like Dr. Aisha was saying, the smaller businesses, or the people the aspiring entrepreneurs who haven't even started yet, but are thinking or want to, and just don't have those free and reliable resources to do so. So we were providing that. In order to do that, we found that the best way would be a website, which is really simple but has a nice modern interface that people can find reliable and go to quite easily and navigate quite easily. And it has 3 very clear courses all about the cost of doing business in London. So we focus on starting costs, fixed costs and variable costs. It's quite basic to begin with, but we do hope in the future to expand it and make it better when we do more user testing and actually see what people really are looking for. So yeah, how it worked was that I worked as part of qTech. So I provided all the technical support and the technical development for the website. And then the School of Economics and Finance economics team provided the actual content and reliable information that we were going to use in the website so people can use that to learn.
So what was it like talking to economists who don't know anything about the tech? And what was it like listening about finance if you don't know their job?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I think in the beginning, there was a lot of assumptions from both sides. So I assumed that they would know what I'm talking about and vice versa. And I think it took the first couple of meetings for us to realize we actually come from 2 different worlds. And the nice thing about this program is that in the real world, when you work in teams, you will be working in multi-disciplinary teams, right? You're not going to be working as a computer scientist. I'm not going to be all around developers. I will be around a business analyst and a project manager and a user experience designer and a user researcher. So you need to be able to articulate yourself in a way that everyone will understand you, and actually you'll be able to work as a team and synergize almost the team efforts. So it was really important. Yeah, in the beginning it was difficult. I think we were all assuming we knew what we were talking about, and we didn't. Like for example, I could say the word react. Right now you might think reaction, like what we're talking about, but in the EECS world, React is a JavaScript library, so that's about making websites look nice. For example, I could say that in simple terms. It's about how a website looks and how a user can interact with it. So it took a bit of time, but I think in the end it was really quite important. We all learned how to take our knowledge, which is quite in-depth and experienced knowledge, I would say, and make it easy to learn easy to understand, for someone who has no idea what that world is all about.
So interesting. There's a chapter in a book by Steven Pinker called A Sense of Style, and the chapter's called The Curse of Knowledge. So the more you know, the harder it is to put your ideas across.
Yes.
But this is forcing you back to...
Exactly, because, you're exactly as you said it perfectly, actually, you're forced to take it back to the roots. And I think what that does actually is assess your own knowledge, because you might have knowledge built upon knowledge, but to take it all the way back and strip back everything back to the foundations, it really makes you assess your own knowledge and how well do you know the fundamentals and foundations. In learning, they say it's a pyramid, and there's active and passive learning, and the best way to learn is through active learning, and the best form of active learning is to teach someone else. So as you said, it really, it's very, very important to strip it back, even though the more you learn, the harder it is to do so, but it's even more important because you have better information and better knowledge that you need to share with people. And what's the value of it if you're keeping it all to yourself or to the people within your field? I wouldn't say it's pointless, but you're not making the most of it, and there's way more potential if you go to people within other areas.
So you can communicate with a broader audience.
Exactly.
So Dev, does that sound similar to your experience?
100%. I remember from my final year, I had a similar project where I was working with qTech and economics to build a website and financial tracker for young students. Coming from a degree where my team had computer scientists and people from mathematics from the EECS department, and then we had people from economics, we had a similar issue where a lot of jargons or acronyms were not understood both ways. So a lot of finance stuff was not understood by computer science students. I think that's where I came in, and the skill that we would take is team collaboration and communication, obviously, because I did the degree in computer science and business. I was actually the bridge between both of the teams, so qTech and economics. I was the only one who was doing ITMB in that team, so I was actually a part of both EECS school and the business school, and I understood both of them interchangeably well, and I think that improved our efficiency by a couple of weeks, actually, because a lot of stuff had to be understood. So what I did is, we had juniors in my team team, second-year students from computer science who were excellent coders in Java, Python, etc., etc. And what we did was I sat down with them, understood their problems of what they're trying to understand, gave them one-on-one lessons for business, accounting, economics, just to understand from what perspective they are thinking. And similarly, I did the same with the economics team, sitting with them and making them understand that we are more logic-based person. Computer scientists thinks from X, Y, Z, think of it as mathematics in their own in financial terms and economical terms. So team collaboration, communication, and understanding the problem well and working in it in a lean, agile way is what I did during my time. And yeah, drawing from Imane's experiences, I think communication is top number one skill when working with different teams and new people.
Thank you. And when you say communication's number one skill, so you are now in the world of work, you've got your own company. What kind of communication skills, I mean, in terms of meetings, in terms of talking to your employees, what kind of communication skills do you think you've got from your experience at Queen Mary and that you're using a lot?
I think team collaboration, understanding employers' perspective and entertaining all the ideas is important. So drawing my experience from Queen Mary, we had team members from all years, so from freshman year to final year. So regardless of our age or of experience, we never underappreciated anyone's opinion. That's one of the very few things I learned from Queen Mary, which I applied in my real-time company here at DevXAI, working with subcontractors or interns in our firm. We always understood the value of their ideas, even though it's a rough idea. I always entertain the ideas, and the same goes for clients as well. Whenever I'm on a call with client and they give feedback, maybe it's constructive criticism or maybe it's a negative feedback, I always take that into consideration and then talk that back with my team, because first of all, with any business, it works two ways. As Jeff Bezos says, customer is number one priority for Amazon, and I follow by that rule very strictly. So customer feedback and then employees feedback on what they think of that problem is important. And that's all of the attributes I actually take back from my year back in Queen Mary and from my placement year, communication, cross collaboration, and working in a lean, agile way with all the team members and the clients itself. So yeah, that's my experience.
Thank you. I want to ask you then that you mentioned when you get negative criticism or you get complaints or it's natural to feel hurt when that happens, and it's natural to feel defensive. Any sort of skill involved in being able to deal with these things in a positive way? Anything that you can tell us about that?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, be it any negative situation or any response emergency, you always have to keep your head up and smile. You always have to nod well, even if it's with customers or employees, and you have to listen to them well, because at a professional capacity, it's different from, we humans have natural instincts to defend ourselves from any situation where there's a negative feedback. Oh, you didn't do this properly. Oh, there was some problem with that. You always got to own it up, even if it wasn't your issue at first, because you have to calm the situation down. I believe in being the bigger person. So always, low ego, just be like, hey, apologies, sorry for that. Let's understand what the problem is and try to fix that problem together, rather than being like, oh, you know what? No, I think that's your problem. That never happened, because there is no point doing that. You always have to have a low ego, understand the problem, and solve it as quick as possible.
Thank you. And you talking about understand the problem, listen to the client. Listen is one of the key attributes of active listening and listening well.
In terms of listening as well, yeah, I think we have this inclination of wanting to speak or before we even listen, wanting to give a reply before we even understand what the other person is trying to say. But I think when you're in a project like this, which is such high pressure, high priority, and very limited time pressure as well, you're kind of forced to really listen to the other person, because otherwise you're not going to make any progress. So you both really, really need to not just listen, but really comprehend and understand on a deep level what the other person is saying. And because there can be a lot of unintended consequences if the information is inaccurate or if both teams aren't collaborating in a good way. So you need to listen to their perspective of what unintended consequences could be and vice versa. So definitely listening was a skill that you're forced to pick up as well.
That's so interesting, isn't it? And I'm guessing when you say that, vice versa, listening, thinking about what they're saying, that's true collaboration, and that you are sort of changing your way of communicating?
Almost, yeah, you're adapting, you're becoming more flexible, I think, as well. A big thing is all these acronyms and this technical jargon, we have to realize that we actually need to drop it when we're talking to someone who doesn't know what we're talking about or isn't from our field or our area of expertise. So yeah.
But then when you go back into your world of computer scientists, you need to use it because it's shortcuts and it's the way that you communicate and it shows your professionalism.
Exactly, it does. But also I think, because I did a year in industry last year, and when I was working, there was so many acronyms flying around. I had no idea what they were saying for the first 3 months. Like every other sentence was 10 words I didn't even know what they meant, but it was just acronyms. So I think, yes, acronyms are good and they're shortcuts and they make life a bit quicker, but only for people who know what's going on. I think maybe we should have more resources before people go into their careers and into the workplace, of work-life acronyms and actual real-life, how people communicate in real life, rather than how we would in a module or a project at university. It is a bit different. So maybe working more on reflecting real-life scenarios within the workplace, but at university.
So ultimately, these graduate attributes that we're talking about are to help people communicate in the workplace. And sometimes we can't just develop them, but we can learn them from other people. Did you have anybody you learned from? Did you have any role models, Dev?
Definitely. I think I had a lot of role models, but I'll just mention few of them. Mentioning Ryan from first year, Ryan Clifford, who's a QM alumni working with a startup at the moment. I remember my first early days in Queen Mary when Ryan held a session on LinkedIn 101 for freshman students. And I remember finally students, Sophia and Zena, who had this Society for QM Tech Skills, where they wanted to introduce all the ITMB students to Ryan and, understand the importance of LinkedIn, importance of being an international student and getting in the market ahead of it. So, I remember from my time, I had no idea what am I doing first. So I asked Ryan, what would be the first thing you would do if you're at my stage? He mentioned, first of all, create your LinkedIn, make me your connection, obviously follow some figures and people you like, and look for internship. And I think that's one of the key reasons I secured my internship with Amazon after my first year. Usually it's not a case where you can secure any internships in your first year, but just because Ryan was such a role model for me, where he introduced LinkedIn to all of the other students in my course, and I was able to link with a couple of people from Amazon, and they had the student program during COVID, which was an online 2-week session where we had to work on a real life problem with a team from different schools, different universities, and we did actually win that competition well. So hats off to Ryan for that. And then moving forward in second year, other figure role models, professors, even Aisha, learning with her, working with her, understanding the problem solutions, just being proactive and learning from others has been key for me, because a lot of students think that it's just textbook. You come to university, you learn from textbooks, but actually you have to have role models and real life skills. So it's a gap where you learn from the textbooks, but to actually apply it in real life is crucial. And you have to have mentors and figures for that. And that was really helpful during my time at university.
I'm still wanting to pin you down to your communication skills. The way that you spoke to your team of developers, is that different? Is that more direct than the way you speak to when you're trying to raise funds, or when you're trying to, that kind of thing? Do you think that, well, I learned that at university, or did you learn as you went along when you were?
Definitely. I think it's a touch of everything when you do it in universities, but when you're actually doing it in real life, it's different. So I would say I touched on these different positions. Working as a founder is basically wearing different hats in a business. So one day you are working with developers and you're using all the technical acronyms and all the jargons, but then other day you're sitting with the VC firms or pre-seed capital firms and just understanding how to raise funds well. So you have to use your business acumen. So it's wearing multiple hats, doing multiple jobs, and speaking according to your client or to your audience. As Warren Buffett says, you have to know your audience in order to understand what they are thinking and from where they're coming. And I did touch on that during my time at university, when I was working with Queen Mary Data Science Society, which I'm a founding member of back in second year. We were reaching out to a lot of people from tech to, speak about their experiences, but also understanding how to do it was another aspect. So our team members were all non-technical, because we had the marketing team from marketing courses and we had people from data science course. So I did touch on all of these skills during my time at university, but And I'm very glad I did that, because without that, I actually wouldn't have been successful where I am right now. And all the credit and kudos goes to the staff and students at Queen Mary.
Some of the kudos and credit, a lot of it just goes to you, Deb. You mentioned to me when we talked earlier about how you deal with British clients and you deal with Indian clients and you deal with clients from the Middle East. Is your communicative approach always the same? Do you adapt? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Definitely. Coming from a mixed background myself, you have to understand the importance of values, greetings. Even when I had some Japanese clients, there's a different way to greet them. You have to go down, and then, when you have British clients, obviously, hi, hello, how are you? So understanding your client, as I just said in my response previously, you have to know your audience, you have to know your client, how they think, you have to paint the picture of who you are and show as much similarity as you can, just to be friendly. You become friends with people who you're similar with, and that's a similar kind of relationship you have to do in professional life. You have to understand your audience and make that friendly connection with them, not just professional business that, hey, you're the best, you're doing that. They might not like it. You might be best in this country with the British client, but with a Chinese client it might be a totally different story. So you always have to, as I said again, wear multiple hats, act accordingly based on your client, do your research, and go forward from there.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
So Dev was in the cohort that took part in qTech as an extracurricular activity, and at that time it was the same time that I was also working on the graduate attributes. So I asked Dev if he could reflect on his experiences and everything that he took, because I know that Dev was one of our students who was ahead of the game. But what I wanted is to showcase our students that you also can do it, to push boundaries, because our graduate attributes and the core of our values is to push these boundaries and to be inclusive and to ensure that all students have equal opportunities. So we don't want it to be just for those who are ahead of the game and those who go out of their way and try. We want everyone to have that opportunity to take part of something. So I asked Dev if he could reflect on everything that he has done and how it has had an impact on his experience, because it had a tremendous impact on the outcomes of what he has achieved now. So I asked him if he could reflect on this and write a short description for his LinkedIn profile, and he did, and it was beautiful. So the following year, what I did is I integrated that as part of the very last step of the final year project with us. I asked everyone to reflect on their graduate attributes and their time with us and what they have done, and to add this into the LinkedIn profile. And I also included the badge. So once all they needed to do is just submit it, and that downloaded the badge for them with our graduate attributes that they could use in the LinkedIn to showcase that they have all these attributes, something to make them proud of, that they are QM graduates, and they can communicate to their employers that these are the attributes that they have had within a well-rounded experience that they have had during their time with us at the university.
Lovely. And what I love, Aisha, is that you are they're doing something, then you reflect on what they've done, then you change your course, and then that builds, and it's a communication with you and the students.
There, I think reflection is such an important skill that it's a transferable skill as well. And what we are actually doing now is, from year one, we are introducing reflection practice. So we are prompting students to reflect against these different graduate attributes so that it becomes part of their practice and it becomes a natural thing, because it's an important skill that they will take into their careers as well after they graduate from here.
Yeah, so that's about the video, right? So as part of my final year project, I had to create a video, which was a video form of the dissertation report, basically. Obviously, 10,000 words is a lot to get through for an examiner, so we are prompted to make a video to make it a bit easier for them to digest all that information. And yeah, that was an opportunity to be creative. I don't know if Dr. Aisha enjoys mine, but it was all about getting the information, rather than just reading the information off a slide or as a really boring presentation, is how to keep your examiner, or your audience in this case, engaged for the whole 10 to 11 minutes, rather than just basically reading your report to them, right? They could do that themselves much quicker by skimming through. You have to be really creative. How can you use different techniques to make your audience engaged, but also retain the knowledge that you're giving them? Because there's no point of it just going in one ear and out right through the other. So yeah, I tried to make the video creative by incorporating themes like a game show, which was which represented my literature review. So I had all my literature review findings condensed into a few questions of a quiz game, and I would pose the question, and then the answer would almost be an answer and the reference of where you get that answer from. Yeah. So it was part of my literature review. I looked into gamification and why we use it in learning. So as part of the website, we use a lot of gamification. We had a gamified quiz, we had points, we had badges, we had confetti coming out when someone got an answer right. And there's a lot of evidence, as you just said, there's a lot of evidence to show that gamification does a lot of things in learning. Firstly, it encourages the user to be more motivated because they're looking forward to getting more points. So they're looking forward to gaining and earning that badge. So they are working harder or working more. And then the next part is about knowledge retention. When you have a gamified quiz, I forget the exact numbers of the study, but there was a big difference between users who just answered a normal quiz versus users who answered a gamified quiz, gamified being a leaderboard, a progress bar, points and badges. The knowledge retention was way higher for people who did the gamified quiz, almost because they are working that bit harder to get that extra reward, which is the gamified elements.
So interesting. It's something I hadn't really thought about communication is games being used like competitive games for retention, as well as I always think they're good for drama and they're good for engaging people, but not actually for learning and retention.
And then, Dev, have you got any thoughts on that, about this idea of creativity and gamification? And
Definitely, you have to be creative. Even though when I create presentation and slides, I prefer PowerPoint, but sometimes you have to go Canva and paint the picture. So let's say if I'm going to any client and I'm pitching my idea or my solution to them, what I would do is go to their website, get all the color schemes, tell my front-end developer, hey, this is all the color schemes they have in their business, purple, blue, orange. I want all the presentation slides in that exact same font, exact same color. Because it's about painting the picture and connecting. If
God,
you're
that's
presenting to
such a
clients,
great idea. That is really understanding your audience.
exactly, you have to understand your audience. You have to understand how they work because they have been seeing those fonts and those colors personally. If you're talking to the founder of a company and they chose those fonts, obviously it's going to have some impact. And then obviously, even if the solution itself, it has to be tailored to their real problem. So I always ask in my first demos, I never present with my sales calls. I always ask, what's the number one problem you're facing with your business? And according to that, I create the entire presentation. So connecting back with Imane's experience, I think definitely gamification, being creative with your thoughts, ideas, color schemes, presentations is really rewarding, and it pays you well long term. I cannot tell you how many clients I've saved using the strategy itself.
So I just want to ask one more question to Imane. You can either be thinking about your future job that you're planning on doing, or where you plan on going. What skills, communicative skills, do you feel you're taking with you?
One of them is to not give up when there is a misunderstanding. So like Dr. Aisha said, actually, there were problems that arose when I was working with the economics team, and that did come from miscommunication. We were missing deadlines because of it. So really it's important to make it very clear. I think one of the biggest things I learned is consistent communication is more important than delivering big projects and then communicating after. And I think that's what the mindset we were going with initially was. We were quite separate teams. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. And then once you actually achieve something, we'll come and talk. Whereas actually afterwards, what we found was just having weekly meetings, even if there was no progress, at least just updating each other on that weekly basis made it so much more easier for us to actually know what was going on and to work together as a team. I think that's what's really important is you are a team, you come from different backgrounds, but when you come together is how you make the project. If it was all developers or all just economists, we wouldn't get anywhere. We have to have each other and we need each other.
And you just seem like you liked it.
Yes, yeah, it was such a good experience. And I think especially for my career in the future, it's very, very, very important because there is no way I'll just be working with devs. It's impossible. I have to know how to communicate with people from different backgrounds. And I'm so grateful that I managed to do that before I started my career. Otherwise, I would have had those disagreements with people in actual work setting, which isn't great.
And I think resilience here, which is one of our graduate attributes, is an excellent example of what Imane has developed, for example, and what Dev has developed as well, because Dev has now set up his own company. So he is a startup himself. And obviously he needs to be dealing with clients who will be coming from different backgrounds for which he will be delivering a service to them. So
this experience has given him a lot as a foundation for him to be able to build on that and to go on and set up his own company and give him the courage and the confidence that he's able to deliver on that.
Is there any other advice that you think is important in terms of communicative skills for computer science students?
Definitely. Always back up your communication well with results. So drawing back my experience from qTech, one thing I did was I always had a notepad on my side with the title name value tracker of how much value I provided in this team individually, in the whole project myself. And, communicating that well with employers later down the line, or, even with clients, or even with any other aspects, even when I was interviewing for graduate schemes, I didn't go forward that. But yeah, I did use that example where, I saved X amount of money using Y, or I saved X amount of time using Y solution. So always have some sort of proof or some sort of notes to back your communication up. And then from there onwards, take it forward.
I love that. That's brilliant. That's like reflection. So basically, once
Exactly.
you've done something, write it down, note what you did well. A lot of people, when they think about reflection, they think about things they did badly and how they're going to improve it. But actually, there's times when you've done something great and you hold on to that and then show it, tell people about it.
Exactly. And it's a biological fact that when you write down something, you remember it well. By handwritten notes cannot beat anything else. Coming from a computer science student who loves Notion, Teams, everything else, I'm still old school. I still use a pen and paper because that's just natural instinct.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So Aisha, is there anything else that you want to say about the initiative and about our student and our alumni's experiences?
I would just like to highlight these two wonderful examples of how much you could achieve from multidisciplinary work, how much you can achieve from getting a computer scientist with a business management student, with an accountant or an economist, with a law student, or perhaps even with someone with a medical background or a medical degree. There was so much that could be achieved from getting these students into one room to work together and to give back to the community and to use these skills to make change and to enhance the experiences of those who are around them as well. And I think the way forward, or what we can take away from this, is the multidisciplinary work, the sustainability aspect of it, and the graduate attributes, or all these soft skills that you develop along the way. That includes collaboration, communicating, teamwork, resilience, and just showcasing your best, which is being proud, which is one of our Queen Mary values.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You'll find all of the links discussed on the Get Spotted webpage. And if you want help in developing your communication skills, why not sign up for the Communicate with Impact Masterclass or one of our other modules, free to all QM students. Details on the QM Elevate webpage.